D&D.
Red box.
Yeah.
D&D. Yes.
And so we look at FantasyCraft and we think we succeeded. We wanted a game that felt like like your game in high school. And so that's where why a lot of the art looks the way that it does, and why even some of the mechanics work the way that they do.
Right, and little things. I mean, that margin art, the top and the bottom. I did that to all my books when I was a kid. It usually is planes blowing up the teacher or something like that. But, I did that all the time. I doodle in the margins and stuff, and it's just something about that really is captured. Because, I mean, how many, 12 to 20-year-old boys have done that same thing? And so it really clicked, and Ben he's fantastic, and he was just so enthusiastic. There was more in those. He actually made them too long.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to put more stuff in.
So I think there's maybe a little less than an inch that got cut out.
Yeah, it was the gelatinous cube that got cut out.
That's right. Yeah.
He had a gelatinous cube like going.
Sorry. I'm not sure it would matter. It's coming through this wall.
Yeah, this door. So. Shut up.
Yeah. That's okay. We've always had sound problems with our seminars. I'm sure.
But at least we got a mic this year.
It'll be a little bit better. It's coming through okay.
Right. So, yeah. So, anyway, we decided to just go. Let's go with the thing that we loved about gaming, and that's really that's what FantasyCraft is about in general. It's about getting to what we all love about gaming, like where 90% of us started in gaming, but moreover about making the game you want. So making a game you love, in addition to evoking things that you love about gaming. So there are products out there that are old school. I mean, there's a lot. I bought Hackmaster Basic today. Yeah, and Hackmaster Basic, I'm very excited. I'm just hoping there's only 4 levels, that sort of thing. But at the same time, I think we still have a very new school game. We didn't take, well, this technology's been useful, but who needs air conditioning? Who needs power seats? Who needs turn signals? So yeah, it was going in and saying, we can make it feel this way, but we want to have something that's very newer feeling, and that has sort of the advances that we've seen in gaming, the things that people, modern gamers, tend to expect out of a game at the same time.
All the latest tech, but the flavor that we all grew up with.
Right.
And that one of the things that Alex said is really, really important. What? Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Somebody likes FantasyCraft.
Hey. That's awesome.
Gonna keep rolling.
Wow.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So one of the things that we really do think that FantasyCraft brings to the table
FantasyCraft, we get a share.
Yeah. That some other fantasy games now aren't. It really is all about customization. It's all about the game that you want to make. Yeah, it's like a bad sitcom track, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Sports
like
Night
watch
first
the Jeffersons
season.
Or something.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all about you defining the game that you want. Your alignments, your world, your adventures, your characters, your campaign qualities, and we'll just keep building mechanics to specifically tailor games as long as you guys continue to use them.
Well, you got some great feedback. I think a very important aspect of how FantasyCraft came together was based on all the feedback we received throughout the 2.0's life to this point.
Yeah.
We knew how people felt about first edition Spycraft, and we got a lot of. There's been a very active, vocal, engaged fan base of Spycraft 2.0. We talk to people at cons. We get a lot of feedback in the forums. We get a lot of feedback in other forums, which is sometimes of a different type. But we've heard a lot from a lot of people, and it's become clear. I mean, the patterns are there, what people like, what people didn't. And we wanted to go, if this is about building the game you want, if this is about giving you the tools to build the game you want, then what really is working for everybody? And what things do you feel are, too much or don't engage you in the same way? And that was valuable, that thread that we had in the forum.
Which one?
The one that was like, to give us your house rules or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was that became like a design bible for us on a lot of levels. Because everybody comes out with skill caps.
For
skill caps, first thing to go.
For those who don't know, this was early on in the Fantasy Craft development. We decided to ask people what they liked about Spycraft 2.0, and if they were rebuilding Spycraft 2.0, what they would leave out, what they would add. And we tried to accommodate that as often as we could. And especially when it was requested by a great majority. Mastercraft's an interesting beast because it is Spycraft, but it's not. The Spycraft is a very robust game. It is also a very intimidating game. We know this.
Right.
The fans of that game are very, very defensive of it, and justifiably so. It is a wonderful, wonderful product and offers something that I think most games on the market aren't even trying to do. There's a level of detail and a level of realism and specific play patterns that emerge out of that game that you just don't get anywhere else. But one of the things that we found when we were going out away from our site was a lot of people saying, we love Spycraft, love it, but we just never played it. It's the number one game that we own that we've just never gotten around to playing because honestly, we can't read that much. And it doesn't matter that you don't want to, we told you not to read all of it. You still need to sort of have an overview of the game in order to know what to take away.
Right. Or when you're reading through it, it's pointing you somewhere else that you feel you have to read more.
And so with Mastercraft, it really was about making it as approachable and simple as possible. It's 400 pages, which is scary, right? But stop and think about it. So over 100 pages of that is world building and adventure building. Only the GM ever has to pay attention to that, and most of that is fairly simple. You look at the headers and just follow the questions. It's what's the spirit of your game? Well, I want my game to be lively and fun. Okay, done. Move on to the next section. Yeah, you can read the whole thing if you want. It's going to walk you through if you're newbie, or give you some ideas if you're a veteran, but you don't have to. Same thing in the adventure building section. There's maybe like 4 pages of critical rules that you have to know top to bottom. The rest of it is all just guidance and questions to ask when you're building your game. Picking campaign qualities is really as simple as honestly just picking 2 or 3 things that sound cool. Chapter 1 boils down to pick an origin, which is two terms that go together. Pick a species, possibly. Pick a class and scribble down some derived stats.
And yeah, your class too.
Right. Oh, I mentioned class.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's huge chunks of the book that they're reference. The bestiary. You're only going to need to bother with the monsters that you choose to include. The grimoire, you only need to worry about the spells that you're going to use.
If you're not casting spells, if you're not making monsters or building your own contacts,
right,
and if you're not using, if you're not running the game, then you can excise approximately 250 pages of a 400-page book. That just will not affect. Well, they'll affect you in that they'll be trying to kill you or being cast at you or whatever
right,
used against you, but you don't have to know them.
Right. Which brings me to my second point. So you've got this 150-page book, essentially, that has a whole lot more in it. Awesome. So our goal when we were making this, I'm trying to make sure that you... Okay, all right, fair enough. Our goal here was to make sure that 2 things happened. Every player could memorize the rules attached to their character. I am an elf. These rules apply to me. I need to know a little bit about vision and hearing. I need to know a little bit about speed. I need to know a little bit about healing. I am an assassin. I need to know about the way that critical hits work. I need to know about
how disguise works.
Yeah. A few things like that. These are all easy. They're bite-sized. Maybe all the material attached to a single character is, 3,000-4,000 words, which amounts to like 5 or 6 pages tops. Then the GM can, everything is so obviously placed and so easily referenced that the GM can memorize the core rules, which, by the way, I think in this game boil down to about 20 pages, including combat and basic skills. And then he knows where everything else is off the top of his head. Spycraft was a textbook, and as we all know, textbooks aren't always easy to use. In this particular case, it works really well for people who are wired for it. But we think that there are some people out there, great many people out there, who aren't. And based on the feedback we're getting from the Fantasy Craft PDF and the people who've come to us here at the show, who've looked through the book and are already building characters, we've succeeded in managing to